What is going on, everybody? We are back with another review, and in this one, we're reviewing the first story off of The House of the Dead. Now, before we get any further, please check the link in the description below. Then go over there, sign up to the Patreon if you want, and you'll get everything I put out a full week early. With that being said, though, if you didn't notice, it no longer says Story 1. The reason being is I think I'm going to start naming them after the characters that they're based off of. And the reason being, it at least gives it some identity, right? So this one I'm just going to leave. It's going to be called from me Miss Sibiler. Sibiler? Yes, Miss Sibiler. So starting off, Miss Sibiler is walking through a school parking lot, like talking like a nagging kid, like a bratty kid. Oh, Miss Sibiler, hi, how you doing? Like, she doesn't like kids. There's some kids sitting on her car. She shoos them off and is real rude about it. Which, I mean, to be fair though, they are on her car. And before we, okay, I'm sorry. Let's back it up. The frame narrative starts off with a guy by the name of Talmadge who is cheating on his wife. He's out of town for a convention, and he's with this one woman who is apparently a frequent of his when he comes to this town for conventions, which is apparently often. She's also cheating on her husband. She wants him to stick around. He needs to leave. She calls a hotel. She calls a cab. He jumps in the cab, and just gets dropped off on a random street while it's pouring rain. He's invited in by a guy who is just like, "Hey, you don't need to be out here being cold and wet. Come on in, dry, warm up, and then you can get where you're going." They start having a conversation, and basically, they are. They're just learning about each other, right? So the guy's not obviously upfront and honest with him. Talmadge isn't honest with the guy. He tells him that he's in town for a convention and he just visited a good friend. The guy that answers him reveals himself as a mortician, and he embalms the bodies of people who seem to experience extremely strange deaths. And he shows them around to Talmadge's chagrin. He does not want it. He does not want a tour. As a matter of fact, as soon as he finds out that this guy is a mortician, he wants to leave. So they go to the first casket, and he says, "This is the body of Miss Sibiler." Now, back to where we were. She shoos the kids off her car. Drives home. Again, yells at kids that don't exist by tossing something that was on her lawn that she thought belonged to a kid. Goes in the house, turns on the radio, starts cooking. She puts this meat souffle in the oven. I don't know what it is supposed to be. And then starts cutting tomatoes. She has moments where she thinks she hears some people outside. She checks outside. There's nobody there. She decides against cooking at this point. So she goes ahead and goes upstairs. Starts drawing herself a bath. And then, thinks about starting to draw herself a bath. She goes downstairs. That's when she went downstairs to check. She thought she heard something downstairs. And she looks, and the front door is open and swings. So she goes down there. She closes it. She looks around the house for a second. Goes back upstairs, and somebody has turned on some water. That causes her to panic because it wasn't her. She turns, I think she turns off the water. She might turn off the water. I don't remember for some reason. But she hears things again, so she goes downstairs. She got in the shower at one point, and then thinks she sees a shadow moving in the bathroom. Opens up the curtain, and there's nobody there. So then she goes downstairs And then once she gets downstairs, she like grabs a knife. She sees her souffle that she was making sitting on the counter with a knife in it. She grabs a knife of her own, and in panic sets it down, looks in another room, comes back, the knife is gone. At which point, kids start to fill the room. Like 3 come through one door, 4 come through another, I think, or 3 or 4 come through another. And she's just like, kids, don't you think playing this prank is stupid? What are you doing, kids? And then that's a terrible, terrible. It's yeah, I didn't do a good job there. Anyways, so she finally she's like, you know what? Or she continues to bitch at the kids. All of a sudden, the kids all take off their Halloween masks that they have on because they're all wearing Halloween masks and costumes for some reason. And every single one of them have these 2 or 3 teeth that are just like huge in the front. Their mouth ain't full of teeth. It's just like, you know, like a or you know, it's one up top and one off to the side over here or whatever. It's pretty disgusting. And some of them, when they take off their masks, there's like slobber that fucking drools all over their face. And then they all kind of come in and like zombie walk towards her, and apparently they bite her to death. When we come back out of that during the frame narrative, Talmadge looks at him and he's like, "You think I'm supposed to believe that a bunch of kids bit this girl to death?" She's like, "I didn't say they were kids." So it's like insinuating they're like monsters or maybe aliens. I'm gonna go with monsters because we try to save the alien excuse for Stephen King. I don't know. So it wasn't a very interesting story. Honestly, I'm more intrigued in the frame narrative than I am the actual first story. Miss Sibiler absolutely got what she deserved. She has this like obsession with hating kids, and I don't get it. So yeah. Again, this is directed by Sharon Miller, and written by David O'Malley. So that's where we're at with this. So anyways, that is going to do it for this review. It's just okay. We've definitely had worse stories. We've definitely had better stories. You know, it's like towards the bottom of the stories that we've watched. But like, not towards the bottom in terms of I hated it. Just towards the bottom in terms of there's things I hate more. Just not many. And I don't hate this though. I don't know. So, with that being said, next time we cover some more of this movie, it's going to be Growski is the guy's name. So, be on the lookout for Growski, and we'll see you next time. Peace.